Well, hello. Welcome to We Talk Indies. I am here with the Jameis, who can't be confused with Seamus. And in case y'all didn't know, we were actually here, ironically, while we were. Jameis, I can't unmute you, man. Ironically, while we were in the green room, we were both. I couldn't unmute you! Ironically, while we were in the green room, we were both doing our hair at the same time.
Let me ask you a serious question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I just rolled out of bed and my hair looks this marvelous? No, it takes effort.
It takes effort. What kind of shampoo do you use, man?
There's about 4 different shampoos I use.
Oh, you use four?
I switch them out. I use them on a schedule.
Oh, so you have like them planned out.
Right.
Mm. Well, as you can see, it's just me and Jameis this week. Tiff is not here. The Queen isn't here. She hasn't been. I mean, she's been under the weather lately, But so she will be
Yes,
here
that was
next. Huh?
We hope you feel better.
Yep. We hope you feel better, Tiff, and we'll see you next episode. She'll be back next week, though.
We promise to keep the queendom whole while you're gone, in your absence.
But yeah, so here we are where we talk indies. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow the Jameis at the Jameis. You can follow Tiff at Loves to Dream 82. You can follow me at A Rose CPE. If you're watching the video or the VOD, as you can see, it'll be on the screen. Also, make sure to support Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles. They have a fantastic IWC Indie Wrestling Collectibles line with, of course, they've got pins, they got magnets, they got stickers, they got all kinds of stuff. So go check them out. Go to their website. Follow them on Twitter. That's Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles. Also, if you want to tip any of us, our Cash App is on the screen. If you have Streamlabs, if you're watching with us, exclamation tip in the chat, it'll go directly to me, Jameis, and Tiff. Get Cash Apped. And also, we do have a Patreon, which we don't really push, but we're going to get there eventually. We also have a merch store. As you can see, as the Jameis has a cup. Get your own little McDuff with a bleeding heart and a crown.
The more McDuffs you buy, the more treats the real McDuff gets.
There you go. There you go. Well, we are animal lovers here. Of all variations.
How's Harold doing? He's in the background there somewhere.
Yeah, he's in the back, right there. You can barely see him, because I keep it dark. Keep it dark! So, other than that, Jameis, how's your week been? How was your vacation?
My week has been very busy, and it's only Monday.
Do you want to tell the people about it? Do you want to rant about it before we get into the show?
I do not. No, I don't have the energy to relive it.
Well, so we got a few events to talk, to let the people know. Let's see. I'm going to start with the 12th of this month. We've got Rocky Mountain Pro. That's in Inglewood, Colorado. We also have
Don't worry, it's the first one.
It's WWA 4. We have also on the 12th in Atlanta, Georgia. We've got Ohio Valley Wrestling. That's OVW. In Louisville, Kentucky on the 12th. We've got Wrestle Open, which is one of Tiff's favorites. And Massachusetts, that's by Beyond. On January 13th, that's this Friday the 13th. We're talking indie wrestling only. We ain't talking, Impact. We do have Hard to Kill coming up on Friday. But as far as indie wrestling on Friday the 13th, we got Pro South Wrestling. We also have Millennium Pro Wrestling, and that's in Chatsworth, California. We got Alternative Pro Wrestling, that's APW in Georgia. We got Independent South Wrestling Alliance, that's in Somerville, Georgia. We have Supreme Wrestling in Madison. I think that's Indiana. We have First, which is a good, it's a pretty relatively good promotion First Wrestling, which is in Minneapolis, Minnesota on Friday the 13th. We have Future Great Wrestling, that's FGC. Oh my god, I can't talk right. FGW, Hamilton, Ohio. We have, let's see, Southern Wrestling Federation, that's in Tennessee. And we've got a couple on the 14th as well. I'm only going to go over a few of them. That's RWE in Newport. That's Revolutionary Wrestling Entertainment. We have Thrash Wrestling, and actually that's in Canada. We got Southern Violence Wrestling, that's SVW in Gainesville, Georgia. And New Wave Pro, that's also on the 14th. So we got a ton of wrestling. We got a shit ton of indie promotions. I can't go through all of them. There's just so many of them. Honorary Wrestling Federation, that is in Pennsylvania. And I've got a huge list up until, put it this way, I got a lot to tell y'all, but I can only name a few, so those are the ones I'm gonna say out loud, because that's part of the list I was given. Anyways, Jameis, your turn.
She wants to talk indies, but she can't even talk right now. So, she hit on a couple that I was looking at. One of the ones I was looking at is an upcoming show on the January the 13th is SOS Presents Good Vibrations. Vipers will be taking on
It's
Rebel
a
Cal.
good vibration. And it's not sponsored by Mark Wahlberg, so don't think that. Don't get confused.
You went with Mark Wahlberg when the Beach Boys was sitting right there.
Hey, I went with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, alright?
So, we're certainly a funky bunch on this show, so. Steve
Go
Meeks
for
will
it.
Steve Meeks will defend the SOS Championship on the card. I have a couple shows on the 14th, not unlike my co-host here. TNT Extreme will be presenting a show. Angel Hayes and Casey Owens will be wrestling Lizzie Evo and a mystery partner. I'm not privy to who the mystery partner will be, but that will be something to check out. Lizzie Evo has been one of the top female wrestlers on the British independent scene. Exceptional talent. Big F and Joe will face Clint Margera. I'll probably hit on Clint Margera later in the show. One of the best deathmatch wrestlers on the planet that hasn't really had much opportunity outside of the British scene and TNT Extreme specifically. So hopefully Margera can get to the States this year and make some noise. On the 14th, North Show Pro kicks off 2023. Matt Taven will be making an appearance at the show as he wrestles Alex Silva. Freelance will present any given Sunday. Kerry Morton on the show will be defending the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship against GPA, one of the more underrated talents in the Chicago scene. Also on the show will be another Morton, Ricky Morton of Rock and Roll Express fame, will be challenging for the Freelance World Championship against champion Robert Anthony. So that's something to look at too that I found interesting. And then the one other show I wanted to hit on will be what is a new promotion in the Brit Rest scene that will be debuting on the 5th of February. Planet Wrestling. And the whole concept is combining the idea of space with professional wrestling. So I'm not really sure what all that entails,
Wait, what?
but it sounds fascinating.
Wait,
They
when
will
is
be
that?
Planet Wrestling. They just announced
I know, but when?
February 5th, I believe.
I really wish Tiff was here so we can get her input on that.
We'll talk about it next week because we've got a couple of shows before February 5th.
Oh, I got a lot of shows before February 5th. I got a whole list of them, but I can only name so many.
So, I'm not sure what all of that entails,
Mm-hmm.
but it sounds fascinating. I saw what's going through Twitter tonight. So,
Planet in space. In space. The final frontier.
I don't know.
Is it because in space no one can hear you scream?
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying, like I'm
You
just.
must make Star Trek references, people.
Oh, I can. I'm talking about just sci-fi in general. I forget you're like just not into sci-fi.
I am into sci-fi. I'm not into Star Trek.
Hey, that's just what I could. Like, I'm just going with that because that's the first thing I thought of.
Isn't that the fifth movie or something like that?
Oh, I don't know. I really don't. No clue. Oh my god.
We should
Space.
watch sci-fi movies on this shit on your Twitch.
I mean, we do a public domain one.
Right, that's what I meant.
Are there any public domain? Wait, hold on. This has nothing to do with independent wrestling.
Hold on, I'm sure there are public domain sci-fi movies.
I mean,
Probably some of the original ones that just hit public domain from the late 20s.
I'm
Um,
sorry. I'm just trying to figure out exactly. I guess it's one of those things we have to see it.
Fair enough. We'll talk about this after we're up there.
Oh, I'm talking about Planet Wrestling.
Right.
I think
I'm
it's just
trying to find the Twitter right now.
I'm kind of like fascinated by what that entails.
Me too, but
Like
I can't
I
find
have
it.
questions. I have so many questions. Get a hold of them, Jameis. We have questions. Find out who the promoter is.
Give me about 5 minutes and I'm sure I'll have it. So, Planet Wrestling Entertainment is the company. It's space, their Twitter bio says space themed family friendly wrestling. The main event of the first show will be Leon Slater and Jack Bandicoot. Leon Slater is a tremendous talent for those who haven't seen him. And they emanate from Leeds, which is out in England. So that'll be interesting. I don't know what that entails.
I don't know what that entails either. I'm kind of fascinated to find out.
Let's see if I can find a website. I see a big hotel, but I'm going to assume that's just merch. Ooh, there's a contact form on it. I'll fill that out after we're off air.
Fill
See
that
if I
out.
get a response.
Fill that out. Find out what you can find out because we need to
Let's
know.
go over it next week.
Well, we need to know because we want to go over it. Because
Which, if you want to hear sci-fi mixed with independent wrestling, somebody that I did an interview with mentioned that idea and concept in the interview.
You can find that interview on TWM News on their YouTube channel. That's
Of course.
youtube.com/TWM Wrestle.
Do we want to talk about now, or do we want to talk about it later in the show?
We can talk about it now. Or we're just going with the flow. Tiff she really gives us an outline to roll with things. I just realized that.
So I realized this the other day. I love her to death. She's probably my favorite person to do shows with. So hopefully this doesn't come out wrong. Again, I hope you're feeling better, Tiff, if you're listening, which I assume you're not, because if McDuff's isn't being walked, then you're probably asleep right now. the thing I noticed the other day when you mentioned that Tiff wasn't going to be on this week, and it was just the two of us,
We didn't
my
have an
initial
outline.
reaction was, outside of I'm going to miss her laughter, because her laughter is very infectious, is that she dominates most of the conversation, and I think that's a good thing, because she watches the most independent wrestling of any of us, and she's the most passionate about the scenes of any of us.
She
So
leads us into an outline.
I think that's a very good thing, but when you take out the person who dominates the conversation and sways it certain ways, the dynamic's going to change a lot. So
Yeah.
I was very interested to see how this show would
So it's
go.
gonna go. We're like, we were discussing it. And we're like, we don't have an outline because we're so used to like Tiff usually does like the out. Believe it or not, Tiff does like a lot of the outline of our show.
Remember the first episode where I had like a page of notes?
Yeah, and we were just going with it. We were going with the flow.
I've not brought notes on this show ever since. I did notes this week.
We did. We had to do notes. It's just because like
I
I
can
do.
hide being a little unprepared better with somebody that has ample preparedness is
Yeah.
dominating the conversation.
Yeah, it's so like for instance, yes, I run the majority of the show, like as far as production and producing and where it goes. And I watch like, I mainly deal with like Impact Wrestling, but I also watch the rest of my wrestling is, independent at that point. Jameis is everywhere, and Tiff is
I
like,
just show up and talk, so y'all to bless you with my smiling face.
and like Tiff does pretty much all indie wrestling. So it's like, it's very, she like really does lead the conversation as far as the outline of the show. So whatever she has outlined for the show is what we kind of like rotate on. So it's an interesting dynamic this week, being that we do have Jameis had an interview.
But before we get to that, before we get to that, because that just provided a perfect segue into something else I wanted to talk about
Mhm.
on the show, is that because one, and again, I love Tiff to death. She does a great job at the show. Because one person dominates the conversation, we pretty much really only cover this certain things every week. And I feel like that provides us, the two of us, with a fascinating opportunity to talk a little bit more about different things we don't usually talk about within the Indies. So I took it upon myself, heading into 2023, for those interested, to put together a quick list of some of the more underrated talents or under the radar talents that we don't usually get a chance to talk about often, that I expect to have big 2023s. So I went in detail in my notes on six of them, but in my head I have more, but I didn't want to go in detail on many because of time. So, you ready for this list?
Go for it. I'm excited. I'm so enthusiastic, as you can tell.
You're bursting at the seams with excitement. I can
Ugh.
just tell.
Go with your list so we could talk about who you have on your list of top
So,
six. Such an odd
it's
number.
not a top
Six.
six. It's not a top six. It's just six
Six.
names.
Okay.
So I have three women and three
That's
male on this list. That's why there's
that's
six.
fair. That's fair. Yeah, six. That's three and
So
three. Go for it.
the first male on my list, I went with a little something a little different here.
Was it
I know
Warhorse?
no, though he rules ass. So I know you and I have off the screen have had discussions as to whether WXW is actually an independent or not because of their WWE Network deal, but I included him anyway. I put Peter Tahani on this list. One of the best Hungarian prospects that pro wrestling's probably ever seen. He's a product of HCW in Budapest and WXW in Germany. Has an excellent look. His charisma is very palpable. Tahani never takes anything off or for granted. Tight lockups, headlocks, the basic fundamentals, and it makes his opponent earn everything they get. But beyond the fundamentals, which he's very fundamentally sound, he's very athletic. He only has 3 years of experience, but his psychology is beyond his years, and he plays the underdog babyface rather well. He's a terrific style guy, great facials, mannerisms. You can find a lot of his work on YouTube. There's a really good match with Leighton Buzzard, who is another not on my list, but very under the radar independent talent. He primarily works ICW in Scotland, um, from WXW. And then there's another WXW match with Alex Kane of Paradigm Pro and MLW fame. Also a great talent, also very under the radar. And Michael Oku, who recently popped up in PWG. I kind of want to cover that too. But he recently wrestled Ricky Knight at Progress as well, for those who
Michael
want to
Oku's
check
been
that.
around for a while.
I know, but he's not on my list, but I do want to talk about PWG.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's important that we do talk about PWG in general. But yeah.
so
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
right. We'll get so
He's
Peter
he's
Tahani
more in
probably
Rev Pro, I believe.
right.
Or was.
Peter
I don't know if
Tahani
he still is, but I know, yeah.
he just showed up. He's starting to show up in the states more. But Tahani is the best non-British wrestler in Europe right now. I figured that's Germany's not really a scene we've ever really gone into, so I figured I'd put him at the top of the list. The first female on the list is Reka Tahaka, who is currently wrestling for Wow Women of Wrestling under the name Leah Makoa, I believe. I don't know. I don't follow WoW all
I
that
don't
much.
follow WoW either.
Tahaka is probably the best Samoan on the scene right now. She does a marvelous job at small things with her character that make her an intimidating pro wrestler. She had very little experience before working the daily space shows during the pandemic. I believe she was a Nightmare Factory product, so it makes sense that those were kind of her. That was kind of her start. But she's honed her craft very quickly. She's very physically imposing. Works a physical powerhouse style. One thing that caught my eye last year that we didn't get to talk about on the show was the program that she had with Heather Monroe on the UWN shows, the Championship Wrestling from Atlanta, from Memphis, from Hollywood, all of those shows that air free on YouTube every week. It was one of the more personal feuds on the independents in 2022, especially as the Atlanta product specifically begins to get established
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube and within their group of shows. So that's a name I wanted to hit on. She's done very well for them. Another name I wanted to hit on, and I did an interview with them last year, which you can find in the bodysem.net archives, is Sam Stackhouse.
You can't
Probably the most
look. I don't need you putting yourself over on a show that I put together. No one asked you to put yourself over on whatever other platform. Right now, we are just doing indies. We talk indies, which you
I
could
forgot.
which you could find on the TNI network. The total nonstop impact every other Tuesday. Anyways, continue. Tell them where
So
your interview is.
Sam Stackhouse is probably the most well-known name on my list, primarily because they've worked GCW a lot. They just worked the GCW weekend this past weekend, but they ended up showing up wrestling Matt Cardona in his GCW debut. He ended up appearing at the Hammerstein show, which is where he got big publicity. And his match with Dante Leone in GCW was one of my favorite independent wrestling matches last year. But he's one of the best big men you'll find on the scene. He takes a lot from talents such as Bam Bam Bigelow, who he actually started his gear off of. But he's primarily working in the Midwest region right now, specifically Loco Wrestling in Houston, who has done crossover shows with GCW. But we've never really talked about Loco Wrestling either. They have a tremendous product on the Texas scene. So shout out to them and shout out to Sam Stackhouse. Good friend of the show, good friend of yours truly. I may or may not see if they want to do an interview. And the second woman on my list, I'm going back to Europe here. I believe this is the last European person on my list. So if you were worried it was just going to be a Brit Rest list, no
I
worries.
was pretty much thinking it was going to end up being a Brit Rest list.
The only actually I don't think I have a British person on my list because this is probably the best wrestler out of Italy right now, and perhaps the most underrated. Man, we're both getting tongue tied tonight. The most underrated women's wrestler in the world. So Laura Di Matteo, a master technician, maybe even the best technical women's wrestler on the planet. But what makes
Hey, hey,
her
hey, hey,
even more
hey.
deadly? What?
No, Deanna Perrazzo is.
Watch Laura Di Matteo and get back to me.
No, I'm just saying we're on a TNI network.
We like Deanna Perrazzo too. Shout out to Deanna. What a sweetheart of a human being. So, but what makes Laura Di Matteo stand out among the crowd isn't that, it's her striking proficiency, which makes her one of the most violent female wrestlers in the world. She's probably the closest, if I had to make a comparison, to prime American Dragon in women's wrestling today. And if anybody who's followed my work outside of We Talk Indies, it's almost sacrilegious for me to compare anybody to Bryan Danielson because he's one of my top 3 favorite in-ring wrestlers to watch of all time. So that's high praise coming from me. But she does have Brit Rest ties. Her reign as Pro Wrestling International Champion last year put a lot of eyes on her that I don't exactly anticipate her losing in 2023. So that's somebody I would like to see do an excursion in the States. The fourth name on my list, and
Wait, we're only
they're
at 4?
oh no, fifth name on my list. My bad.
Okay.
Sorry, I can count about as well as either of us can speak tonight.
Yeah. Continue. Go to 5.
So there were a lot of wrestlers on my list I expect to make bigger headlines in 2023, but this is a talent that's never quite gotten their due, so I thought I'd include them anyway. Mick Moretti, a stalwart of the Australian scene over the last decade, has been one of the most improved wrestlers since the pandemic. He was more of a flagrant comedy guy before, borderline
Which Australian promotion?
MCW right now.
Okay, Melbourne.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
And he
Continue.
was borderline freaky, but he wasn't the best worker. Since he's become probably the best workhorse across the scene. At one point, he had championships in four different Australian promotions simultaneously in 22. He's a little older than guys that'll get better looks from major organizations, but I like giving guys that don't get their due some love. So shout out to Mick Moretti, great character, has really put in the concerted effort into improving his in-ring work, and it's noticeable. He had a great year last year, and so we'll give the Australian scene a little bit of love. And the final name that I'm going to go into is from the Chicago scene, the very jovial, the always jovial, Laney Luck. One thing we've touched on
Jeez, I got
for a
scared for a
while.
minute that you were gonna say Frank the Clown.
Oh, I love Frankie. Shout out to Frankie too. No, seriously. Shout out to Frankie. I know he's going through some hard stuff personally right now. So thinking of your brother. Everybody on this show and on this network hopes you're well and you're doing well. We love you, Frank. But to go back to
Legitimately, I thought you were gonna say Frank the Clown. I was like, I was preparing myself.
It would be very odd for me to say for Frank the Clown for somebody to put Frank the Clown on this list.
Remember we were talking about the McDuffies and how we said we should have Frank just put
We should
his
figure
name.
that out before next week so we can start voting.
It's fine. A lot of the end of the year shows aren't running until February and March, anyways. So we're not that behind.
So,
We're good.
Chicago scene. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go Chicago.
But, one thing we've touched on a lot of the show is family orientation and how there's something in the scene a little bit for everybody. We talked a lot about specifically Tiff a couple episodes ago, specifically about how we need to have more kid-friendly acts to get them interested in the scene itself. Laney Luck does a great job at that. She's the party unicorn luchador. It's not the most enticing gimmick to the older demographic, but it does its job and it does a great job getting the kids excited. And her lucha style looks far more than competent. She's a tremendous bell-to-bell competitor to watch. Very fun, and she gets better every time she's out there. So I know she's not exactly under the radar. She's been on PWI the PWI women's list the last couple years.
Yeah, whatever number it's at.
The only number I ever. Never mind, I'm not going to make that joke. So she's somebody we haven't covered on the show who I feel we've neglected to give a fair look on the show. So I thought I'd give her some love.
We haven't had that many episodes to give a bunch of fair looks to.
That's true. So I figured I'd take this opportunity to give 6 talents.
Calm down, bro. We haven't had that many episodes.
Of course, there's other talents across all of the scenes I think are going to have big years. I think since Tiff's not here, somebody's got to put him over. Miracle Generation, and even more specifically, Kylon King, are going to have a tremendous 2023. I think.
I strongly believe that as well. I think they are.
And of course, I think I can speak for Tiff on this one. Kylon King is the man.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have a good 2023. I expect them. I expect Blackwood to have a good 2023.
I think Kevin Blackwood will have a
and that's not bias. That's not bias because I'm a Blackwood mark. No, that's not it. It's not me being biased.
So Titus Alexander from the California scene is somebody to look at.
I think Alexander's going to have a better 2023 as well. If we're bringing up Titus.
Chandler Hopkins is going to have a great 2023. I think Clint Margera, who I kind of touched on earlier, will have a great 2023. There's a lot of talents I did look at that I considered that I didn't put on this list. I didn't put go in detail on
Hmm.
within the list. Rebel Kel, it was a name that was on my list. Another talent from the UWN promotions. BK Westbrook was on my list, who had a tremendous showing against AC Mack for the IWTV title at one of the Texas shows this year. I forget which one, or last year, but they really caught my eye during that show. Shaft and Defy in the upper Midwest region. And the last name on my list that I haven't really gone over is Rio from the British scene. So there's a lot of people to look out for. Certainly a lot more talents beyond those names that to look out for. But those are just some talents I wanted to touch on and potentially give our viewers the opportunity to go look at. So there's a lot of people to look out for.
Sorry.
Oof,
You're gonna laugh. I forgot to put the tags in for the show.
oof.
Halfway through the show, I forgot. I just put them in right now. I forgot I have to manually put them in because we're actually multi-streaming. We're on two different platforms right now. We're on Facebook Live and we're also on Twitch. And next week we should be on two other platforms as well on Monday live.
Terrific.
It's all good. It's all good. We're good. It's a learning process, like me just trying to figure out how to do multi-stream. I'm not a multi-streamer, but I'm getting the hang of it. It's just a matter of remembering
You'll
shit.
learn. You got this.
I got it. Getting the hang of it. But I was like, shit. So we had let's see, this past week we had, what's it called? Can You Work Fridays from West Coast Pro?
I believe so.
Yeah, decent show, very solid show. Interesting thing that happened. I'm gonna bring it up because I was surprised. I can't. Uh, Alan Angels, who was there, he was there eating a bowl of carrots, and him and Blackwood teamed up at the end to beat up Blackwood's opponent. So I thought it was very interesting to bring up that happened at a West Coast Pro show.
That's interesting. Another thing, and we're
That's
kind of jumping to a different West Coast show here with Blackwood, was he had
PW
a he had a
PWG.
major match at PWG.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about it.
The very first time since 1996 that Chris Jericho worked a California indie show. I couldn't tell you the last time Chris Jericho worked an independent wrestling show. Probably had to be sometime in 98, 99. The
Uh,
Jericho Appreciation Society showed up in PWG this week.
yes, he did.
So that's an interesting thing to look at. Of course, there's clear and evident AEW connections because who owns PWG? And that, of course, that is the announcer for AEW Excalibur.
Well, not only that, there's a lot of people that are major stars that got their start in PWG.
Right.
Um,
Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega.
yeah, there's a lot of people that have been
Um,
through in and out of PWG. Brian, American Dragon,
Brian Anderson.
Danielson was there. A lot of people got their start in PWG. I've only been to PWG once. It is a known fact. I've only been there one time. So,
The
Roderick Strong's also been at PWG. We
A
also,
lot of WWE talents have Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn.
Actually, no, we don't know if that was Sami Zayn under that mask.
Yeah, we can't prove it. Kevin Owens.
Kevin Steen, of course.
Yeah,
Tyler Black worked PWG, didn't he?
I think so. I can't remember.
Drew Galloway was used
Uh,
PWG as part of his launching pad and
Bandito's been there.
independent run. So, Jericho Appreciation Society defeated Jonathan Gresham, Kevin Blackwood, Michael Oku, Evil Uno, and SB Kento.
Another
Uh,
interesting thing that happened in PWG is the first husband and wife match with Jordan Grace and John Grisham. That also
and of
happened.
course, Mike Bailey is this year's winner of the Battle of Los Angeles,
Hmm.
defeating Konosuke Takeshita in the finals. Takeshita's a dude that's going to excel in PWG, man. That tournament was very interesting. Of course, Bailey also defeated Brian Keith, Shun Skywalker, and Jordan Grace
Yeah,
to get
the
some fun.
Masha Slamovich was also in that tournament.
Masha Slamovich had a supposedly really good match with Brian Keith, which is not surprising. That's something I want to check out whenever it gets to high spots. And of course, somebody that we just mentioned defeated your boy.
Who defeated who? What?
Masha Slamovich defeated Alex Shelley.
Oh, well, she didn't defeat him at Revolver, so. But that's cool because I haven't. I'll be honest with y'all. I've only seen highlights. I have not seen the show, the PWG show. So
You either gotta buy the DVD or wait for high
yeah,
spots.
exactly. So I only saw photos and more or less results. Uh,
I
I
am
didn't.
surprised.
Go ahead.
I am surprised that PWG, when they came back, didn't find a way to be ahead of the curve with streaming, because they were ahead of the curve on the DVD market, and then that's a very antiquated way to grow your brand at this point, and I think it's kind of counterproductive at this point in time.
Uh,
I I think I get the idea, try to keep the mystique of the show, but I think there are better ways there should be better ways to do that. Of course, I'm not the one whose job it is to figure that out. I I just don't think the mystique of the show, the risk versus reward, I think they're leaving a lot of money on the table.
I mean, that's it's understandable. Like I said, I was only sent the results and sent photos of some of the
Right.
matches, and that's just based off of people knowing that I really do like PWG. I love PWG. They have a place in my heart, a special place in my heart, and they always will. Uh, you know, for certain reasons, personal reasons, but they will always have a special place in my heart. So I will always support PWG in that aspect. But yeah, I really wish it was a little bit more accessible for some of us who cannot go to the PWG show.
Right.
Just a tad bit better. So maybe in time, maybe this year. There's so many good videographers and producers now that are out there. You know, for
Right.
a while there was only like like maybe like one or two people, and now that there's like a lot of videographers and producers that are now making higher quality content in indie wrestling. So it's just a matter of timing, and I think maybe as time goes on, maybe by fall this year, maybe PWG will have something. I don't even
Right.
care if it's live on high spots. I'll be honest with you. I don't care if it's live there. Just anywhere would be nice, for even if it's for certain events. Like I honestly would be willing to pay even just for one show to watch it live.
I would too. I don't. It doesn't even have to be live for me. There's a lot of products that don't air live, super indie wise, that still are very accessible. Rev Pro comes to mind. Apparently, Will Ospreay had a very good match with Eddie Dennis recently. I think at last night's Rev Pro show. What was today? The ninth.
Yeah, today's the ninth.
So at last night's Rev Pro show, I've also heard very good things about the match for the Cruiserweight Championship between Luke Jacobs and Robbie X. So that's a show I want to check out. There are ways to do it, and it doesn't have to be live if you still want the mystique uh, of PWG not ever running live. But I think you have to figure something out at this point. You're leaving money on the table, and I think if you're running a super indie, more accessibility the better, because Chris Jericho is going to bring eyes to the Kevin Blackwoods or the Michael Okus or the SB Kentos of the scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I like I said, it's just you know, we'll just have to wait and see. But I think, hopefully they'll, it'll come in time.
Right.
It's better late than never. Let me put it that way at this
I
point.
agree. Also, this weekend was GCW Save Me. On the show, there was the main event was East West Express, which is Jordan Oliver and Nick Wayne. That's a tag team I expect to have a big year. I don't think either are under the radar at this point, especially after Nick Wayne showed up on AEW this week. And Jordan Oliver's kind of been everywhere since his
Yeah,
MOW.
yeah,
But I do expect them to have a big year as a team. They lost to Hate Club, Matt Tremont, and Nick Gage in the main event of that show. But you mentioned the West Coast Pro Can You Work Friday, which was on the 6th.
yeah,
Nick Wayne wrestled that show too.
yeah. He did.
Alex Shelley.
Yeah, they did. They wrestled that card.
Titus Alexander retained the West Coast Pro World Championship against Alec Price. And in an interesting match, with a very interesting dynamic, Kevin Blackwood defeated Starboy Charlie. Starboy Charlie is another guy we've not touched on much on the show. Very, very good at playing the old school babyface. Sympathy magnet. I think Starboy Charlie could have a big year too.
Who else is on that card that I think will have a big year? I think I mean, I know it's like we're just this. We just started the
Kurt
year.
Nixon, I think, could have a big year.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I think West Coast Pro is becoming a little bit, more known.
Right.
Especially since they did King of Indies, and then they're gonna do
With
Queen of Indies.
with New Japan Strong ending, Royce Isaacs worked that show. I wonder if he hits the Indies without the restrictions of New Japan. I think he could have a big year too.
Yeah, so we're gonna see. It is. This is January, and these are just us
Speculating.
speculating and predicting. Because we're speculating and predicting based off of November till now. So a lot of changes, a lot of updates. You okay?
Yeah.
A lot of changes, a lot of updates. So I mean, anything can happen, anything can change. We are just in January. I mean, it's only the 9th while we're recording this.
It's already the 10th where I'm at.
Yeah, it's late.
The
This is the
living in
first.
past, man.
This is the. This is the first
That's one of
time.
my favorite John Favreau deliveries. You're living
What?
in the past, man.
Oh,
That's a
God.
John Favreau line. That's from his Seinfeld guest spot where he played a clown.
Oh God! Stop bringing up clowns.
Hung up on some clown for the 60s, man.
Oh. Um. But we are speculating. We are just starting January, so these are just speculations. It can change. Someone else can just honestly end up having like just a big push, like out of nowhere. Like anything is possible in
We could be talking
2023.
about Warhorse, greatest year in the history of independent wrestling. Within 6 months, if things go right.
Well, Warhorse does have the best motivational TikTok.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
He keeps trying, and I truly believe they're going to give in. They will give in eventually.
They have to give in.
at this point. Like,
It's like A and W giving in with Danhausen.
like, or Ring of Honor.
A and W, like the restaurant.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that with the application. I fucking forgot about that. Oh my god. Anyways,
Of course, I'm still awaiting the independent wrestling return of Breeze Horse. Shooting the breeze with Breeze Horse.
oh god. He's just gonna do an entire, like, half a year of just that. Just that.
You should. To very confused audiences.
What? Who is this? What? Uh, but yeah, is there anything else you want to go over? I mean, this is pretty much going to be a short episode because it's just you
So,
and me, and we don't have much to talk about, you know.
if one day you and I are going to do a special episode where we go over old independents, like the scene from the 2000s, and talk about like the SAT and Amazing Red and Reckless Youth.
I
There's
met.
a name.
Did I ever tell
There's
you?
an independent wrestling name, Reckless Youth.
Did you ever? Did I ever tell you I met Red one year?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, met Red one year in Chicago. Nice
Uh,
guy. Nice guy.
but we're gonna go over the Kid Cashes of the world, or the Michael Shane. Michael Shane, that's the name. But that show is not today. You do not want me to spend an hour talking about the greatness of 2003 ROH Michael Shane. Of course, we are on TNI, and he did have an Impact run, so we can get away with it.
We can get away with it if we just pop up on TNI. You never. You
Me
never
and Jenna
know.
go do a show on Michael Shane.
We just may pop up. We may crash. I don't know.
So, J-Bone, if you're listening, that is a real idea I just pitched. So,
You, how dare you? Don't you know you have to have meetings with famous podcaster J Bone? You have to schedule a meeting, sir. You can't just throw it out there.
well, I'm Jameis. So, but we like the current independent wrestling scene today, and one of the best talents on the current independent wrestling scene who understands the nuances of the industry and how to market your character and a specific rebirth of the character is Kid Bandit, who recently sat down with some random independent wrestling podcaster named the Jameis. I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he's got good hair. And
I heard that if he cuts his hair, he loses all abilities and knowledge of independent wrestling. I heard that. I don't know how true it is, but that is
so
what
now
I've heard.
everybody's rooting for me to cut my hair so I get off this podcast.
What? No one's rooting for you? Why are you always gonna be negative, bro?
Hi, I'm Jameis. Nice to meet you.
Anyways, talk about the interview.
So I'm not going to be negative about that interview because the interview was sensational. If you want to listen to Kid Bandit, see the look of the new character for the very first time, but discuss the rebirth of their character and the importance of representation within the independent scene, what it's like to be crucial representation, how cognizant you have to be of things when dealing with talent and creative on an independent wrestling show, how the dynamic shifts, and their rise in the first year of the independence. There's a lot that was covered within that interview that it's just a wealth. It's only 20 minutes, so if time is what you need, it's quicker than any David Lynch movie you're gonna watch in the next week. I don't know.
Damn.
I threw a director out there. Eraserhead's a damn good movie, by the way. That's my favorite David Lynch movie.
Really?
But definitely, Eraserhead, yes,
Anyways, continue.
definitely check that out. There's a lot of meat to the bone within the interview. Kid Bandit is as sensational a person as they are a professional wrestler, and that's the highest praise I can give them, and they deserve higher praise than that. The pro wrestling multiverse was something that came up. And that's something I was actually very fascinated by because in an industry like pro wrestling where it's a creative field, you're always going to have different ideas. And there's a dichotomy between each promotion. And it's a different audience, so you can do different things with your character within each promotion. And nobody's ever really treaded that water. And it seems like Kid Bandit is about to. And that's what caught my eye the most within the interview. I really enjoy that concept. I think that's something that is long overdue to be done. And so I'm excited to see what the multiverse is, what it encompasses, and how it jumps from Pandemonium to Deadlock Pro, who, by the way, had probably the best 2022 of any upstart promotion. So check out Deadlock Pro. To they worked GCW with Alley Catch earlier. So GCW, whichever promotion they may pop up in. I'm very interested to see how that plays out. So there's a lot more to the interview than just that. We discussed a lot in a short amount of time. Uh, very they put a lot of thought into their answers. There's a lot of really cool stuff that is gone over within the interview. So be sure to check it out. Support TWM. Support your favorite smiling independent podcast host. Other than Tiff and Ash, of course, because they should be everybody's favorites.
I'm just
And
a producer.
support great talent like Kid Bandit. Oh yeah, shout out to the producer. They're neat. I don't know if any of you on the A-Rose CPE channel know who A-Rose CPE is, but they did a tremendous job producing it. It looks very cool, curated to Bandit's persona, which made it even cooler, made it even more personable for the talent. All around, just a marvelous production. So be sure to check out the interview to support both of us, really.
I was like, I'm just a producer. Okay, I just make shows.
What
I
are your
don't.
thoughts on the interview, Ash?
It was good. I gave you feedback.
I know you gave me feedback, but we're supposed to be putting the interview over here, so I was going
Oh,
to
I thought you were legitimately
put the
asking for
interview
like a
over.
critique. I was like, it was a good interview. I was like, I gave you feedback. Like, I was all confused. No, it was a good interview. Uh, as far as the interview itself, I did produce because I am what is my title, Jameis? Digital media executive or something? I don't even
If
know.
you don't know,
I
I ain't gonna know.
I the point is it's I just know what's in my job detail. Um,
All I know is I'm introducing you to a bunch of people. So
yeah, all I know
be
is
sure to
like
check out that channel because we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up.
digital media executive is my actual title. But
Ooh, she's got a fancy title now. She's too big for me.
what are you talking about that? Because of that, I have, that's why we have all these shows. We have all these shows and all these like great interviews. Before then, you know, there was nothing going on interview
Okay,
wise.
don't bury TWM.
No, I'm not burying TWM. I love TWM. It's my home. It's going to be my final wrestling platform before I ever like retire. But I'm just saying, like, we are moving into the future. We're planning for up and coming times because we are having new shows that are in well, we're getting ready to go into post production to have shows air in the middle of February. That includes
Who knows?
wrestling.
Maybe you'll see a familiar face.
Yeah, that includes wrestling, music, basically entertainment. We're gonna, we're trying to reach all aspects in one channel. That's the best thing I can say of
Right.
I guess that's the best summary of what my job is. I produce everything.
Yeah, there's a conglomerate of topics, something geared towards everybody. You want the most variety out of a channel as possible.
Yeah, so we're slowly working on that. At least I'm only one person. I am only one person.
You're only one person.
Yeah, I'm only one. I am
Damn, I
just
wish
one
I know
person.
that.
Like I can only do so much, so but I'm doing the best that I can. It's a new position, and yeah, but that's just a fancy name for what my job is.
I
That
think
is
y'all should I think as a thank you, our people should go to her merch store, maybe buy some Retalking these mugs, as you can see right here, or even just subscribe to this Twitch channel and give a super whatever, I don't know the fancy Twitch terms,
The
to
fancy
support
Twitch
Ash
terms.
Nova for the great work she's doing and hopefully provide more of an opportunity for even more work along the same lines. So be sure
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, no,
And of course,
I guess that's just a fancy name for what I actually do, but I'm just a producer of many shows. But of course, I still have responsibilities as well as an interviewer. And
oh, responsibilities. Ugh. Imagine being an adult with responsibilities.
I'm just
Oh,
saying I
wait.
have the most stress, is what I'm saying, out of everyone.
Hey, you might have the most stress from this particular part of your life.
Yeah,
I got the most stress.
that's a good point. That's a good point. I'm grateful you are in my life because you do help.
All I do for this show at this point is show up and talk, and I'm so stressed out and everything else that it's relaxing for me. So I'm glad this ain't stressful.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of our relaxed time. If you think about it, this is like our lax time. You and I. Usually, other than that, you and I are talking about like other shows, other things that we have coming up,
Well, life.
and life. Yeah.
We like to talk about life.
Yeah. We like to talk about life. But yeah, but Jameis also produces too. He helps me out.
Not at that level.
Not at that level, but you do help the best you can.
I do the best I can. Gee, thanks for the praise.
What I mean is like, it's a lot. Is what I mean.
Dude, I I don't produce many shows anymore, primarily because I needed a break. But I do have some non TWM, non TNI stuff coming up that I'm going to have to produce again. So
There you
we'll
go.
see how that goes. Maybe I can learn more.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's all it is. I'm just saying, like, what I mean, do your best, meaning with the workload you get
Right,
from me and your other shows.
right.
That's what I mean
Shows
by do your
apparently I'm
best.
not allowed to put over on here.
Oh, that was a joke. I still let you plug it. It was a joke.
Yeah, it's not like if anybody Googles Ash Nova Body Slam, they won't find anything.
Yeah, like they won't find me there.
At all, ever.
Ever.
Ooh.
Ever. That's in the past. That was so like 2016.
2016, what was I doing? Oh, I don't want to talk about what I was doing in 2016. Something should not be said on air.
No, I'm like, that was so 2016. Maybe 2018, 2019. I don't know. They all blend together. That's how old I am. Kenny
You're
Omega was.
younger, you're younger than some hockey teams, remember that.
Shit. Damn. Is there anything else we want to go over regarding the Bandit interview, other than people need to go watch it at the channel?
From the specific interview, probably not necessarily. If you like anime, that's probably an interview for you. If you like all different types of interests, a myriad of things, all of it's in their character, so you'll be seeing that going forward. But I think we should go over the fact that we have more interviews coming up, and I'm not the only one doing TWM Talks Indies interviews. So
Yeah.
be sure to look out for what's on the horizon for that series. I'm very pleased with first episode, and I'm excited to see what the next couple episodes hold.
Yeah. We have new guests coming up. Um, we're aiming towards a mixture of known indie talent and upcoming indie talent is what we're aiming towards. And of course, you can definitely follow the Indie Wrestling Corner, which is Tiff's channel. She always has independent wrestling interviews up, like with
Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well.
yeah, subscribe. So for more interviews, she has them. We'll plug. We want to plug her because definitely, she is an important aspect of our show and our
I
dynamic.
think she, I think there's a good argument to be made. She's the most important aspect of our show, and we miss her dearly this week.
Yeah, I mean, so like we're gonna plug Tiff in too, even though she couldn't be with us today, but that's cool. She'll be back.
Yeah, so I missed the last episode. She missed this episode. Does it bode well for you, Ash?
Well, I can't miss the episode because there will be no episode.
Oh, are you saying I can't produce this show?
You don't have access to produce it.
That's true.
You don't have access
But
to all the software
it's also true. Damn it.
and the sign in.
See, I can easily get decided.
From where?
You.
Oh, I'm not going to give you my sign in.
Oh, damn.
It's all linked to my own personal channels. Why would I?
Oh, I wouldn't do that either then.
I was like, it's my personal channels. It's not like the company's
Oh, yeah,
channels.
that's probably not the best idea in the world.
Yeah. No. That was all.
The audio on this show is going to be a trip.
Yeah. They're gonna be like, "What the hell is going on?"
They gave Jameis unfiltered access to speak, so therefore the show goes on a lot of tangents, and half the time you don't know what the hell they're talking about, because that's how I tend to do it.
Do we have anything else coming up we want to announce?
We have the McDuffie Awards coming up.
Which we're a little bit behind on schedule, but it's okay. From what we wanted, not from what everyone's end of the year awards. I saw an end of the year awards that's going to be launched on March, so we're not that far behind.
So, you mentioned music. I love music. There's a great article on TWM for the 30th anniversary of the Bon Jovi Keep the Faith album that everybody should go check out. I wonder who wrote it. Is it the biggest John Bon Jovi and Richie Sambora and David Bryan fanboy on the planet? Or was it another writer? I guess you'll have to see for yourself.
It was Jameis. Just so y'all know, it was him. You can go to twm.news. And yes, I have to. Now, let me stress this to people.
But you can hear me talk more music with something coming up.
Yeah. Me and Jameis are going to have another show coming up. We're going to input ourselves into that music category.
I think I did an article on the Seasons soundtrack too last year. That Chris Cornell Seasons is one of the most heart-wrenching songs I've ever heard. Greatest vocalist of all time.
I have to emphasize something, that the website to TWM is twm.news, NEWS. .news. There's no other dots in it. There is no .com. There is no .net. It is .news. twm.news. I just felt like I had to stress that.
Yeah, if you go to a webpage we don't own, we cannot guarantee you will see things you want to see.
We don't know what's over there.
So be sure to get that hyperlink adequately correct. If you get twm.new, fair enough, you'll realize your mistake. If you put twm.news.com, you ain't ever gonna figure it out.
.net, .org, whatever. We're saying this because we can't say it on air, but we have an inside joke about something about that.
We have a lot of inside jokes.
Yeah. One day we're gonna have an episode of just inside jokes. Oh.
I know, confuse people.
Oh, next month, we might do a live, a fun episode that's live for the TNI Patreon.
There's another fun episode that we discussed around the same time that is going to confuse people, and I, for one, cannot wait.
Oh, yeah, we gotta tell Tiff about that. In April. We're having a fun show in April.
But what if we don't?
Oh. She might get confused. I can see her face like, what?
That's half the fun.
Yeah, but we are going to have a fun show in February with T and I. So, of course, make sure you subscribe to Total Nonstop Impact, which is our host for. They cover mainly all Impact Wrestling. We are the other show that covers the independent wrestling circuit because a lot of Impact talent does venture through the independents.
And we're trying to implement a lot more fun shows because while I thoroughly enjoy this show every other week, and Tiff is the most fun person to do a show with, especially the chemistry she has with Ash, and I think I'm pretty neat to do a show with. So we've got a really fun nucleus, and the independents are blazing hot right now. So there's a lot to like, but doing the same kind of show every week be a little mundane at times. So to implement more fun shows, just to keep everybody loose, keep you on your toes. Of course, Tiff's not here, so somebody had to mention toes. Keep you on your toes, maybe with a little bridge.
Oh my god, what if we had an entire show of just silhouettes of bridges, and it's just a game called Keep You on Your Toes, and
Hold on. You do a game show where it's a silhouette of the bridge, and Tiff has to guess which independent wrestler
it is. Exactly.
But we use older wrestlers too. So like we
Yeah,
go to the
it's-
'90s Japanese independent scene with Manami Toyota. We go to 2003 Ring of Honor with Paul London, and really test her knowledge.
and it's called Keep You on Your Toes.
Keep Tiff on her toes.
I guess we're done, Jameis. That's it. We've covered what we could cover today.
I think we have too. Do you want me to look and see if there was any other shows this week and we can go over the results for it real quick, or do we want to call it a night?
I think we're gonna call it a night, dude.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, make sure to follow us at We Talk Indies on Twitter. That may or may not be ran by McDuff. We can't tell you. And you'll find a link to our Patreon. You can follow us all on the @. You can follow Jameis at the Jameis. That's literally his @ everywhere. Very simple. The Jameis.
I'm never changing it.
Yeah, don't let that go. Don't ever let it go. And of course, I'm A Rose CPE, and Tiff is Loves to Dream 82.
And
So that's it. Do you
shout out
anything-
to Tiff again. We missed you.
We missed you. And, that concludes our episode of We Talk Indies. Yep, we filmed very late tonight. So. But it'll be up on VOD on time. Tuesday.
And we got what, 90 minutes, give or take, out of it?
Yeah. Solid,
Perfect.
solid.
That's perfect, actually. That's exactly what we were shooting for.
Yep, we are actually on time. Surprised. And we included some up-and-coming talents everyone should check out. Make sure, of course, to go to Slowpoke Toys and Collectibles to support your local independent wrestling. You can catch them at a lot of the conventions. They have their own IWC Indie Wrestling Collectibles line. So go check them out. Go give them a follow. And yeah. I mean, merchandise-wise, you can go to stiffblade.com, and of course, Collar and Elbow. That's who we're going to go for. Anyways, everyone have a good night. That concludes our episode. I am Ashley Rose Nova. You can call me Ash, and I'm here with the Jameis. Jameis, say goodbye to your audience.
Goodbye and good night.
Just because Kenny's back in New Japan.
Hey, we're on TNI. It's a former Impact World Champion. I just quoted.
That is true.
Are we off or?
No, we're still on. Anyways, good night. We're going off
We're
right
live
now. Anyways, we're going. Good night.